Ladies and gentlemen, once again, I'm going to be meeting this handsome man who is very young at heart back on stage with us. Everybody, Greg Martin! Also calling on stage to join Sir Greg Martin, we would also like to invite President and CEO, Mr. Sean Smith. Our lovely COO, Ms. Rowena M. Calmado. And Eastwest Ageas Data Insights Manager, Francis Marie Montealegre. We would also like to call on JPM Swan of Nielsen IQ. Awesome. Okay. Now, for dear friends in the media, if you have any questions, please just raise your hand and one of our ushers will hand you a microphone. But before asking, kindly introduce yourself and let us know who your question is for. All right, ready? Let's begin our Q&A. Yes?
That's cool here. Hi, very nice product, FIP. So as Eastwest Ageas goes heavily to expand its banking agency, how are you guys planning to ensure that your investments on digital solutions and product innovations like micro insurance also targets the younger, hip, and audience that you're planning to hit as well? Before other products or other insurance targets them.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for that. I like the fact you used the word innovation and what have you in that. So, a few things. I mean, the first thing is that as we grow our agency force, we give them the right tools to be able to interact with customers effectively. So those tools, as you would imagine, are digital, right? So we have a particular tool that's very effective and working really well with really tremendous feedback from our users called the UAM, which allows them to present and then finalize sales and what have you. So there's digital tools around that. Second of all, we've also just launching, I can't go into too much detail, but we're just launching an AI tool as well, an AI-driven tool to support our sales forces out in the country for both our bank insurance and our agency, which we believe and we know is very innovative, and it's going to allow them to be better and more effective advisors to their customers and more knowledgeable as well. And at the same time, that creates efficiencies for us in the business. In terms of micro insurance, that's not a field that we are directly in. We don't have any strategic directions yet to actually get into that particular field. Not to say that somewhere in the next few years it's not something we might address, but as a business, we are very focused on the demographics that you've seen and the sort of the middle class, the growing middle class. In the Philippines market. So we're very, very sort of clear on what we're going to do there. Not to say, by the way, that as we launch our digital channels through East West Bank, that we will be ensuring that we will actually capture some of that market as well. And then from that, we'll be able to build our proposition.
I just would like to add there's the element of digital are fully supported correctly, so we will go indeed to the Eastwest Bank mobile banking app and really be able to support a wider population. But on top of that, we do have kind of micro-insurance segment, because all the teachers that have teacher loans with Eastwest Bank are insured also with us. So that's actually a huge population, especially in the Mindanao area. They are all insured with us.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much. All right, again, a reminder, please introduce yourselves and let us know who you would like to direct your question to. All right, next. Yes, ma'am.
Hi po, good morning. I'm MK po from Malaya Business Insight. So my question is for Ms. Frances. So it was showed earlier in the Purple Report that most of the Filipinos only choose to invest in life insurance later in their life. So what do you think is behind the reason for this and how this Eastwest Ageas helps in addressing it?
Thank you for the question. I think allow me to answer the first part. Kasi kanina di ba we're showing Filipinos are very practical, di ba? So their attention immediately goes to what's urgent right now. What are the day-to-day needs? And I see JP responding kasi he's into consumer intelligence as well. So that's one of the reasons why Filipinos will actually invest later in life. And siguro if you can supplement. But that's essentially the reason why, Filipinos are investing later in life in terms of insurance.
Hi, good morning. So in Nielsen IQ, we do a lot of studies particularly about consumers. And what we have seen is that, particularly coming from the pandemic, Filipinos are definitely cautious. We call it the cautious consumers nowadays. And that's what Ace has mentioned. It's not as if like they're not willing to invest, but they're just holding back. So, businesses, companies, brands, so we are definitely challenged to basically help them to make that leap, to make that first step. And that's actually what we really need now. But ultimately, Filipino consumers are definitely willing to invest.
All right. Thank you very much. Next question, please. Yes.
Good morning, my name is Rana. Just a brief background since this is about insurance. So this year I just got my first ever insurance and it's actually because of my dog. So I fear na what if I die and I'm single and I don't have any kids. Sabi ko, but it's from another brand. I sabi doon is I can nominate a pet guardian, which is definitely my sister. So when something happens, blah, so the parts of the benefits will be given to my sister. Dapat, syempre, gamitin niya pa rin. But anyway, so my question is, do you have anything mga ganyan? Any insurance na very specific to mga pet lovers or let's say music lovers mga ganyan? And my second question is, what's your outlook for the life insurance in 2026? Are you optimistic about growth or do you expect challenges? So anyone can answer.
Thank you for the question. It's very interesting product that you mentioned. For us, we were going in the direction that we want to be flexible, as I mentioned earlier. So even for example, the Sure Start, we don't want to define kung kanino lang pwede mapunta. So I think it can serve the same purpose in terms of having a beneficiary, and then the beneficiary can also provide the same the proceeds take care of the needs that needs to be met. Para merong flexibility on the side of the insured, also kung ano yung pension niya, and also on the side of the beneficiary eventually, kung saan pwede gamitin yung the proceeds. So that's how we want that's how we've been designing the products, whether it's Sure Start or also the Builder, and also the other products that we have in our portfolio. So the flexibility.
And if we look to the outlook, if you look just to this year, the outlook is that the insurance market will grow by around 11%. We see, of course, that there are interest rate movements, and also the stock exchange is at the lower side still. But I still believe also next year we'll have a growth probably in the double digits. GDP growth in the Philippines still is expected to be around 6% next year. You see normally the insurance market outpacing that a bit because the insurance sector in the Philippines is still underpenetrated versus other Asian countries. The total insurance spend of GDP is something like 1.7%. And in mature markets, that's close to 5%. So that growth will still kick in. And with more Filipinos having higher earnings potential, we definitely expect the life insurance market to still grow.
All right, thank you very much. Next question, please. Yes?
Hi, good morning. I'm Lihana from Amazing Manila Journal. I think my question is for Ms. Rowena. After opening new agencies, houses in Angeles and Naga, what regions are next on your expansion map on 2026, and why are you focusing on these areas?
That's
That's probably for me. So we just recently entered the Val market, so that will be something on our horizon in terms of a presence. We are already in the Cebu market. Again, still small, but wanting to grow, so we'll be dealing with that too. And then we're also, we'll be expanding in the Bulacan area and in the Quezon City area as well. How we do that though is a very careful, but a very commercially orientated fashion. So we don't go and build a great big agency house and look for the best. We make sure that we've got the right advisors and leaders, and then we form our presence. So those are the key areas. Obviously, it's very important that we continue to build on our presence in Makati, in Pampanga, in Ortigas, in Naga, as well as growing into new markets.
All right, thank you. Next question, please. Just raise your hand. Yes.
Hi, good morning. I'm Faye from GMA Lifestyle. So my question is for the whole panel. As executives of a insurance brand, what advice or tips could you give the young people who are looking to start investing in insurance? What could be the factors or considerations that they could think of when they start to do insurance? Thank you.
Great question. Really great question. Thank you. I guess maybe I'm old enough to be slightly reflective on the question as well, so I'll give you my 2 pennies worth. And I've been in the Philippines 25 years, so maybe I can share a little bit. The first thing is, consider the company or the brand that you're going to put your money in. Because as an insurance company, we don't produce anything physical. What we deliver are promises, right? So you must be very, very, clear and trusting that the organization that you're going to put your money into is trustworthy and experienced. Perhaps something like a 200-year-old European insurer that's in the Philippines. That's the first thing. The second thing is, ultimately it will come to a choice, right? Because we all have finite cash flow or finite income. So ultimately it comes to a choice. So, how important is it to you to take up insurance? The third thing is obviously, what stage of life are you at? Are you single? Are you recently married? Do you have kids? You got kids on the way, or whatever it might be. Those are obviously triggers, right? And that's when you really, everybody steps up and takes responsibility around that. Now, there's something from the past that I've always found very interesting in the Philippines is that, and I remember this from a long time ago, running FGDs, is that there are young women in the Philippines who start investing in education products for the kids they plan on having. I see lots of notes, and that's really amazing. I mean, you couldn't sell an education product to a parent in the UK who's already got kids. It's almost impossible. So that's really, really amazing, and I think it's just so important that Filipinos think wisely, and I think and make those decisions that your gut is telling you, that your instinct is telling you is the right thing to do, because ultimately it's also an emotional decision. It's not just a financial decision, it's an emotional decision. and so obviously I'm going to say, listen to your heart and take that responsibility.
Yeah, for me, is it working? Yes. So for me, one insight I have is start young. Because it's one of the fun facts or the questions earlier, right? Because the younger that you are, the premium will be smaller because, well, the probability is you're healthier and you have a longer lifespan ahead of you. And as you start young, even if, and not to plug, but really practically sure start because you're starting small and you eventually like any thing that you get into, parang it becomes a discipline na. If you get used to saving like 25 pesos a day, for example, for your insurance, and then you get used to it, and then you can start building on that and then increasing. So I think it's a good discipline to start. Unfortunately, I think it might be related also to the question earlier on why the decision is pushed back. Unfortunately, reality is life insurance is not really that talked about in school. I don't know if there's a study of that, but based on reality, we talk about in some of the finance courses, we talk about bonds, equities, derivatives, even. But life insurance is rarely talked about in school. So that's maybe why it's just when you're exposed after you get out of school, it's when it becomes available. So for those that are still young, they can start getting to know it, get used to it, and eventually start the discipline of not just being invested in insurance, but being financially stable and having the discipline of planning for the future. And another insight that I can't remember who mentioned this, because a lot of us would have exposure earlier on with insurance, but not about life, but maybe for car insurance, fire insurance for the house, right? If you're insuring, diba, yung kotse, yung bahay, di ba mas importante yung buhay, yung tao, diba? So it could be good to reflect on that also, that if you're if you're spending for insurance for these things, it's also good to invest ourselves in the of our family.
I always go back to where you need the money for. So when I was young, my parents gave me pocket money and I learned to deal with money. That's something that in the Philippines is still not very normal. Financial literacy is unfortunately still at a low level. And I think before you start thinking about insurance, you need to actually first think about savings. If you don't have savings, don't actually even think about insurance yet. You need always some money to deal with the unexpected things that happen in life that are small. Insurance, you need to think more about the bigger things. It's more about, okay, what will happen if tomorrow I cannot earn a living? Who will be negatively impacted by that? Can my children still go to school? Do I have transport? But also, I would like in a couple of years to retire. What do I need to do to retire by that age? So it starts with that perspective. Start with saving, then start to look towards insurance. And insurance to me also goes in several phases. Like Wayne said, I think insurance starts a great initial product. You don't make an investment, actually you pay for protection. You pay maybe 8,000 peso, you get 1 million of protection if something would happen to you. After a while, when your savings start to grow, you can use also those savings to invest in a long-term perspective of insurance. And also again, there you need to look to what's my willingness to risk that savings. You have products that give fixed amounts of return. You have products that actually move with stock indexes, etc. So it depends really on your financial literacy and at which stage in life you are.
So just to supplement as well what Sean said on having that starting with savings, for example, and what Greg mentioned it being an emotional response. Siguro yung sa akin is much more practical, just to link it back to this time. So do your research as well. There are a lot of information out there, especially with social media right now, where you can, and website sources of information where you can compare and contrast the information that you have. So that the part of that is understanding where you are right now, so you need to get over here. And then when you have your savings, you have now the capability to sort through what you can see through your research.
before you actually choose or choose a life insurance provider. So for me, it's doing your research.
Coming from Nielsen's point of view, Nielsen Harris's point of view, the first thing that we have to do always is basically listen to consumers, especially the young consumers. The Gen Zs, the Gen Ys are totally very different kind of generation, set of people, set of consumers. And what I've seen as partners of Eastwest Ageas, what I've seen is that E1 ability is listen to the consumers, especially validated earlier by the presenters that the company is a consumer-centric company. So that is actually a very important value that any company would have to emulate in the Philippines, particularly if you really want to succeed. And particularly in terms of the spending and GDP indicators, we are definitely spending. We are coming to that level that is actually very much on par with the other Asian markets. That's actually supported by a lot of studies of Nielsen. And we need to make sure that we are alongside that. So the consumers are ready. We just need to listen to them. We need to listen to them and basically adjust to what they are looking for, what they are expecting, especially out of a category like insurance that is very much we call it high involvement category, which means that it is something that we really think about. It's not as if like it's a bottle of shampoo or a basic necessity. It's definitely something that we think about. It is something that we will invest a lot of time in thinking about. So we really need to be there and listen to them.
All right, thank you very much. What a great question. I love that. Thank you so much for your answers as well. I'm sure everybody learned so much. Now we are down to our last question. Everybody who would like to ask our last question? Hello.
I'm Aubrey Nasanda from Business World. So I have two questions. Allow me to ask two questions. So number one, what do you think is East-West Ageas competitive edge in the market, specifically here in the Philippines, and what are the challenges of insurance penetration in the Philippines?
If I look to where Eastwest Ageas stands out, it's clearly to me is again what Greg said, customer centricity. We listen very clearly, as you can see from the purple reports. We every 1 or 2 years we do these types of studies. And in our whole product development, we take that into account. And it's not only product development, because it's everything. If I ask Wayne about operations, if you see how many changes we have made in the last 4 years, we moved, probably as one of the first insurance companies, completely with our systems in the cloud, which creates a lot of agility in our processes. We have introduced scanning techniques so that our customers don't need to type their names anymore, so take out all the mistakes in these processes. We're supporting them now in advice through Gen AI chatbots. So these things are all helping towards customer simplicity. And like we show here, we are not a typical insurance company. We are a bit more cheery, quirky, let's say, because we are really in a very serious business. So we need to also make sure that people really feel that they're really listened to. That we're not just an insurance company, but a partner of what we're doing. So that I would answer your first question. I don't know if my colleagues would like to add something to that. Can you remind me your second question? Sorry.
My second question is the low insurance penetration in the Philippines. What do you think are the challenges and how can Eastwest Ageas help with this?
So me, that starts still a bit with the financial literacy. I think the education system needs to be probably improved to really make sure that young people start to learn to deal with money and also the unexpected things in life. Because that translates. If you just see people on the streets, there's not a lot of consciousness for savings. And it starts with savings in it. You need to know what is the type of things that you want to cover. We sometimes live too much in the day-to-day. Okay, but that's the society where we're in. So we need to deal with that. As the insurance sector, we're doing quite a lot of things to also improve that consciousness. So I'm also a board member of the PRIA, the Philippine Life Insurance Authority. And we are promoting always a life consciousness month. And actually, that was just last October. So we're trying to make more people aware about insurance. get them to be aware of the things that will happen if something happens. And we always use in that the life pyramids. So you have certain needs that you want to cover. What if one of the basic things, like for example, your income falls away? What would that mean? And people don't always reflect about that, but it's very important to reflect about that. Because only when you start reflecting, you can start preparing for this, for the next future. And I don't know if Niels, if you want to add something.
Yeah, actually, it's very interesting of category penetration. What we have seen for category penetration, particularly for the insurance category, is that it's not as fast as we hoped it would be. No? Especially again coming from the pandemic, when we really were all put in a position that we were pushed to our extreme, and hopefully, those catalysts would have had such impact, but it did not so much, particularly for the insurance category. But other, categories within finance, for example, e-wallet. We know that e-wallet is very much growing in the Philippines, as led by GCash, for example. We would have hoped that it would have been the same for insurance, but it did not. And in Nielsen, what we have seen, and I think this is actually a very good opportunity for us to, offer our, partnership with you. What we have seen consumers are doing, they're really looking at services, products that are very much affecting them or impacting them on a day-to-day basis. That's what you mentioned. Transactional money. We call it the transactional money. We need to make sure that we are offering something that they will feel on a daily basis, not something that they will feel, far off in the future. Especially because the pandemic really again made us, think twice that we will be living in the next 10 years or so. So it really has to be grounded almost on a day-to-day basis. And I think that will help very much in terms of category penetration.
Just add to that as well, because I think it's about making it relevant, right, on a day-to-day basis, but also on a long-term basis. So how do you make it relevant? And it's from product and process. It's also marketing, emotional attachment at the same time. And then the second thing is just a view. It's also about distribution, because Filipinos, there's different segments. Some would like to buy digitally, online, some maybe through a fintech, some through a bank, some through an agency, through relationships. It's very, very important to better insurance penetration that there is effective multiple distribution in the country. It is there, but there's a lot of work to do to make it more effective.
Thank you very much. All right. Any more questions? One last. Maybe a couple more.
Program from Lawyers RR. For Sir Greg, the FYP Digital Series is nearing its fourth episode. What can viewers look forward to next?
What can they look forward to next? Episode 4. I'm going to bring on one of my marketing guys to help me with that. Kirsty or Joe? Joe?
Thanks for that question. The FYP that Greg showed a while ago, it actually has a microsite. Come visit. It's the purple.com.ph. You'll see the teaser, the episode 1, episode 2. We just launched episode 3. To update as well, across platforms, the views have already gone up to about 16 million. I think you mentioned about YouTube. We're available in YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, even TikTok. I think we got a lot of views as well on TikTok. We will tackle more life issues and aspirations. We tackled one on Kiel about his business, the other one on passion. The third one is about the need for rest. Because guys, we also need to rest. Right? But we cannot rest if we do not have that peace of mind that we are secured, insured. At the same time, we know that when we sleep, our money works harder for us. So watch out for that space. Jason, we still have 3 more episodes. We still have 3 more episodes to go. So we're launching the 3rd one, and then up to the end of January, we'll finish all the 6 episodes. The numbers are just so good. The reaction is also telling us we're telling a relevant story that people can relate to. So we're already doing our groundwork. Maybe not just on digital, but we probably need to go all out on activation. So we'll probably do a roadshow next year to talk about maybe even duplicate this exercise of the true or false because I think it's experiential, no marketing that really drills home the point, right? It's not just sitting down talk about insurance because insurance itself can be a little boring, but if you experience it for yourselves making those choices, I think that does a lot. And us as a vibrant, young, and quirky company, I think it's something that we will do consistently, you know, and will do innovatively as a marketing. Right, guys?
Thank you so much. I really love hearing that and seeing that the numbers are high because I mean we human beings really decide on emotions, right? We base everything on emotions, and you're making. This is kind of nakakahiya, but I only really learned deeper more into like insurance and stuff when I got married. It's crazy. Like these things were not taught to us in school. Like they teach us math and all of that. But after that one, paano? Ang gawin ko sa math? Paano kumita? How do I make money? How do I do even love and relationships is not taught to us in school, all these essential life skills. And thank you for making it reachable and more understandable. And I think a big reason why not a lot of people are brave enough to do this is because there's just not enough proper information out there for everyone. So thank you for that. All right. One last question. Okay. Yes.
Hi, I'm Ria from sugarsmile.info. So for Sir JP, can you tell us more about the Purple Report and the details of how you come up with that study?
Siguro allow me to catch that na lang muna before I do. So the Purple Report essentially is understanding or us trying to explore the behavior of the Filipinos. So we have a specific set of target respondents just so we can really focus on key motivations of the target market that we have. So just to be a little bit scientific about it, the study is done among Filipinos, as what I mentioned earlier, Filipinos aged 22 to 55. So yung may spending capacity talaga and purchase decision makers din. Just so we get meat from the study. So we do that just so we can also have information that would fuel our strategies, positioning. As what Greg mentioned earlier, we want to be as customer-centric as much as we can. That's why we get key information from the customers. If I may just again be very scientific about this, it's not only customers of Viva who we are surveying. It's actually parang anybody can be asked about this particular survey, regardless kung customer can use this as yes or no.
Actually, it's a very good study to represent the Filipino consumer. You know? Although that we do have that kind of a focus, you know? Especially in terms of age group, in terms of socioeconomic class, in terms of area, you know? And we needed to make sure that we are aligned with the objectives of the study. But coming from a third-party point of view, Nielsen, the study itself is actually a very good way to represent the consumer population of the Philippines, so for the insurance category. And we have made sure that our study, you know, goes through the standard and strict protocols that we have for researches, so that I can simply say that it is actually a very good set of numbers that we have seen. And we do always validate the study results that we do for our clients with other studies, for example, from the Bangko Sentral Inclusion Survey. The study itself is very much aligned to what the Bangko Sentral has, except that for the VSP study, it's actually a bit more generic, a bit more broader. Yours or for EWA, it's actually a very focused kind of study. But all in all, I can say that it's a very good representation of the Filipino consumers, particularly for insurance.
Thank you very much. All right, that's it for our questions. If there are other questions we weren't able to cover, you may reach out to our partner PR agency representatives and we will be happy to get back to you. Thank you very much, everyone, for your participation and for all those